stay with our country if we want to do this, man. We know you're in control, and that's one thing with all these things that you're always making clear play.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can y'all hear me right there with that? You can hear me now, can't you?
Yes.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the March 17, 2020 Winfield City Council meeting. Kind of reminds me of an outdoor church meeting. Council. And y'all remember doing that or having any of those? It's kind of the only outdoor meetings I've seen like I've ever been to, but it kind of brings back a lot of memories of how things was. First item on the agenda is approve the minutes from March 3rd, 2020 council meeting. I need to ask for a motion to approve those minutes if nobody's got a question or a comment on how the minutes are written. Chris, I'm going to ask for a second. Rest of all in favor? Next item on the agenda is I've got on here Bob and Jan Hanger. Let me get my bearings straight. Tracy confused me right there. I didn't know what it was. Sorry. Take the whole thing. Okay. Next item on the agenda is Bob and Jan Hinger, Northwest Medical Center. I asked them to be here tonight because I wanted to recognize Bob and Jan for the role that they've played in our, not only this time with us buying the purchasing hospital, the city purchasing hospital, and stepping in, kind of filling in the CEO position as to try to make sure that operations and things went along as they should when we was in the middle of what we was trying to get our hands around what we had done as far as purchasing the hospital. Bob has stepped in that I know of, other than when he was employed here, 3 times at least. Come back, I know of 3 times, possibly more than that I'm missing. But he's been here 3 different times to kind of sit in, help bail us out, and lead us in the right way, and kind of make sure that the hospital operation day to day things went like they should. His leadership, I believe we've kind of got a grip on things, and I'm not saying it's still the best thing in the world, but without what Bob has done for us, I don't know that we would be able to be where we're at today. So I wanted to recognize Bob and Jan both because they both have played a role in the community. Jan has let Bob come back over here, and I think that Jan she's went back in the hospital and played roles in the hospital, the things that she's done. And they both have been an asset to the community. I hope that even though they live in Birmingham, they've been an asset to our community. He was an asset when he was here before, 12, 15 years ago. I lose track of time, but you've definitely come in to help us out again, Bob, and I feel like that this is the least that we could do to recognize what you've done for us, coming back, trying to help get us back on our feet with our hospital. With that being said, I'm going to read this recognition, a certificate of recognition that I want to present to both of you. On behalf of the City of Winfield, it is with great pleasure that I present this certificate of recognition to Bob and Jan Hinger for their contributions to the City of Winfield, the Northwest Medical Center, to the residents and the citizens of the City of Winfield. Their contributions have been numerous for this city, and its residents shall be eternally grateful. Mr. Hinger has an outstanding career as a Chief Executive Officer of Northwest Medical Center. In addition to supporting her husband, Ms. Hinger has devoted herself to the community service. Together they have displayed outstanding community involvement with kindness and compassion. The Hingers have brought honor and recognition to the Northwest Medical Center as well as the City of Winfield. The council joins me in commending the Hingers for their endless acts of selflessness through community service that have a positive outcome for the Northwest Medical Center and the City of Winfield. Seal here to this day. So if y'all would, Bob, you and Jan come up. Also with that, I'm going to present you with a key to the city. I failed to give you that part, but I'm going to give you a key to the city. That being said, Bob's stepping down from his role as the CEO, fill in, but he's going to be assisting Mr. Michael Wyndham in this whole transition, and he's got a few other things that he's going to still pursue for our community and this hospital. So keep him in your prayers, and every time you see him, thank them for what they do. And I appreciate it, Bob and Jan both. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is David Thornell with C3. He was on the agenda to give us an update. He'd asked me about coming, and I felt like I needed to go ahead and fulfill what all was on the agenda this time, because our next agenda will be only, probably unless things change, will be only to pay the bills and do what has to be done for as a body, as the council, instead of putting things on the agenda.
Well, it's a beautiful day. Never expected this. I was just saying that we never expected this, not only to be outside of this meeting, but to be in such strange times, never before in any of our lives. But there was a graph that went out today from the Public Affairs Research Council of Alabama. Unless Mr. Hendrick can correct me, there are no cases, diagnosed cases in any of our counties. Of course, there are 20 in Birmingham by this map, and 3 in Tuscaloosa. So it is best that we take precautions. It'll change some of the marketing that we're doing. Last week I was in Atlanta at a site selectors meeting. A lot of elbow bumping going on, but a large crowd, hundreds of people there. And then suddenly we've had 2 meetings this week that we've wound up that we've had to just put off until later to postpone. But we have activity at each of our exits along the interstate. I think is a great time in Marion County. Unemployment rate inched up a little bit, which is also to be expected, but still at 4%, less than last year at this time. And many people, of course, that are here are still hiring. We'll see how it affects the workplaces, but so far we've not seen much of a change in industry. There's been certainly a lot of things that they're doing a little bit differently, but they're still getting the products out the door. So I appreciate being able to work for you and with you. The mayor and I speak often, and I know that it was recent purchase of the Sitel building. That's a good move. People look for buildings. It's just probably 4 to 1 when you look at what requests that we get. They would first like to be able to look at a building, so you've got something in your grasp that you can deal with, directly across the table. So I do commend that move, and I think there's going to be a good one. And of course, you own some property back there already. You've got some industries back there that have been existing, doing well for a long, long time. But we're here to help. We hope that this will all be something that we'll think back on as a rare, once in a time instance in our lives. But call on us at any time that we can help you with anything, and we're going to continue to work. We answered a request today on a project from the state. It was good to have a project from the state that we had ability to respond to. Most of these we come up with on our own, and we've reached out just in things. For instance, Amazon mentioned this morning they're going to hire 100,000 additional workers, and that's for their warehouses and the demand that people are going to have things shipped to their home. But of course, they're going to find out pretty quickly that that's not enough space for the product and the people in those facilities, so they hope that we'll have them look at I-22 for a distribution facility. So things like that, and reaching out to their real estate groups and keeping relationships with these site consultants, and also knowing that there are companies that are linked to our current companies that we have influence with. That's who we're talking to and who we're going to see, but not for the next little while. It looks like we'll all be at home. But I appreciate the invitation to speak with you. Unless there are any questions. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Dave. The update. Appreciate the work that you're still trying to do for the 3 counties, Fayette, Lamar, and Marion. I know it's a difficult task trying to lure people, especially this time when it's election cycle. Things is kind of seems like gets put on hold for a little bit, but I appreciate you staying out after it, trying to help the community grow and get jobs. The next item on the agenda is going to be Hilda Smith with EquiSearch. I'm going to call up Hilda.
Okay, first I want to say that I work very closely with David, and he does a wonderful job, and we're proud to have him here. And Mr. Hendra, I worked several years with you at the hospital, and you do a fantastic job. Jan, you also. What brings me here tonight is twofold. We have been in this city in the past month awarded two different awards that are nowhere else in the state. Number one, we have the #1 hotel in the state of Alabama at Hampton Inn, and 6th worldwide. The #1 is actually nationwide, and 6 is worldwide. And this goes by our surveys and patient writing back what they think of the hotel, and it's phenomenal. And we bring a lot of lodging revenue into the city, I think, the way I calculate it. But we're extremely proud to have the Hampton Inn in Winfield. Okay, what I'm here for is Texas EquiSearch. Y'all all know, I'm sure, that we were awarded the only chapter in the state of Alabama, and it's the 4th chapter in the nation. Texas EquiSearch is an organization that goes worldwide searching for lost, and usually it's search and recovery. By the time we get in on it, it's usually too late. We conducted 3 searches this past 3 weeks, one each week. But I have all the information. If anyone wants any information about joining, there's an application to be filled out, and we have bylaws. Excuse me. But I'll be proud to answer any questions. I think y'all been getting some calls at the City Hall about us. They can just call me directly, and I'll give them the information they need. You got any questions about EquiSearch? This is extremely off the charts to get EquiSearch here. I mean, we're blessed. This city's got 2 major things right now going for us, so we got to keep up the pace and get more. Thank you.
Thank you, Hilda, for working with EquiSearch to help find people that's missing in our city and county. And I know you've been on several jobs with them. Appreciate the dedication that you give toward this organization. I know it's going to be big. before too much longer it's going to really open up. The next item on the agenda is the cemetery lawn bid opening. The cemetery board opened bids yesterday for the cemetery to be mowed. They submit bids, and they've had two different people to bids on the two that they had. They've come with a recommendation that we okay them to hire Big V's Lawn Care to take care of the cemetery upkeep this coming year. They've used them. They were the ones last year that they used. They were actually the low bid this time again, and they've come with a recommendation for the council to approve them to let them continue to do the work again this year. I need to ask for a motion to approve their recommendation. So, Tim said, all in favor? Appreciate that. That's gonna be, I need to pass it. That'll be resolution number 1255. If you want to make a note of that resolution in your notes. The next item on the agenda is the CDBG award bid on the industrial road project. We opened those bids March the 12th. We opened those bids. We had three different companies to bid on that project. It's come by recommendation from our contractor that not our contractor, our engineer firm that we're using, Goodwin Cable Mills. Robertson Excavating here local was the lowest bid, $493,076.50. Caleb with Goodwin Cable Mills was representing them on handling this bid project for us. It's their recommendation that we use to take that low bid. Robertson, I need to ask for a motion to accept that bid on resolution number 1256. This is the industrial park addition that's going in between the Tiffin Call Center and the Tiffin Service Center. So, $493,076.50. That's the CDBG grant that we got a little over a year ago. It should have actually been done, in my opinion, last March, but for whatever reason, we're finally getting it done now. So Rusty made a motion, Anthony second. All in favor? Okay, the next item on the agenda is we got Richard Holloway here. I want to speak on behalf of Quail Run subdivision about a speed breaker.
Well, I don't know that so much on behalf of Quail Run, because I'm sure there's some of them up there not going to like it. Are all of y'all familiar with where I live on Quail Run? Are you familiar with Quail Run? Okay, when you turn off 14 on Quail Run, go up the hill, there's a sharp curve. Okay, cars coming off of that hill around that curve is straightening the curve out and coming through my yard. It happened twice in less than a week, and speed is a problem. Not all people speed up and down through there, but speed is a problem. Distracted driving is a problem. And driving in the middle of the road is a problem. I've witnessed all three of these getting my mail out of my mailbox. My yard is not the issue, because the grass will grow back and my mailbox can be put back up. It's been knocked down before. What is a problem is a safety thing. On the upper end of my driveway, there's a concrete head wall around my culvert. And somebody's going to hit that one these days and go flipping and get hurt bad, or maybe even killed. I don't know. The last person that went through my yard just nearly done that. Lieutenant Hammett seen the tracks. They're still there. If any of y'all want to come to the house, I'll show them to you. And the other issue that I have is somebody sitting in my driveway waiting to pull out into the street and somebody does that, they're going to hit them sitting there in my driveway. So it's a safety issue more than anything. And I think there needs to be a roadblock placed up on top of the hill. There's a water hydrant and or fire hydrant and a telephone box up there, right along in there. Put up the speed breaker there.
I don't know if that made a difference or not. It's two things I felt like might have made a difference on it. Next thing is, I think, the issue, part of the issue, is height, the actual height. The usual practice is two issues that contribute to the fact that the traffic is coming off the hill that he's talking about.
I talked to one of the guys that come through my yard. I was going to work, and he was still in the ditch at my next door neighbor. The front end of his car messed up, and he told me, he said, "I just come around that curve too fast," you know. And this was like 5:30 in the morning, 10 to 6 when I left going to work. So he told me he was driving too fast, you know. But it's a problem. Somebody's gonna get hurt right there. I feel.
Mayor, my suggestion would be, price
Anybody else got any question, anything for Richard? I appreciate it. I'm gonna ask to amend the agenda, I guess, and let the council vote for whether or not they will put a speed breaker up there to slow the traffic down coming off that hill. So I need to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to do that.
Again, he's requested a speed breaker, but for purposes of us purchasing it, to purchase a speed breaker. I mean, he's on the agenda as proceeding with the council. We don't have that item to purchase on the agenda.
The motion for 10 and second. All in favor for us to purchase that. That y'all make a motion and second to amend the agenda to allow me to bring forth my own to amend the agenda now. So the next, what I would like to do now is ask the council if they're in favor of putting the speed breaker Quail Run coming off the hill there in that curve to slow that traffic down before it gets to that curve going around there. So I need to ask for a motion and a second to approve the purchase of that speed breaker. Second. All in favor? Okay. All right, we'll get with the company that we used last time and get Rob number. All right. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 1254.
Yeah, we thank you for that. If it is addressed, we can get addressed to do a resolution, if that's what we're about to do. Update possible. So she put it back on, because it's a table to come back up.
Okay. All right, we'll table it again. We'll table that next item.
That ends it. That just needs it, bring it back up as a policy amendment.
All right, the next item on the agenda is that we need to designate a delegate for the league conference. You got that back out. This is voting delegate for annual business session. I need to ask if y'all got a voting delegate that you want to assign. You okay with it, Rusty?
Sure.
I need that, his motion is put as for Rusty, and I need to ask the second, I guess, all in favor for Rusty to be a voting delegate at the league. All right, Rusty, you up. It's not, it's got, Todd, it's gotta be, explain it to me.
That's, it came back up as a resolution, it's not a resolution. We've got
Yes,
the
no, it-
policy procedure handbook, okay? When it was on last time, I had a resolution, but at the last minute, I decided to pull it because my review of the policy handbook, we need to actually amend the policy procedure personnel handbook. And because we tabled it the last time, and it was in the minutes as being tabled, it came back up this time. This can't be done by that resolution that I have to make. This has got to be an amendment to the policy procedure handbook, the payment of wages and everything. So I'm working on that. It's gonna get done. I mean, I just can't do it by this resolution. Okay, that's the only reason.
I need, in light of the things that's come up, I need to ask the council to allow me to amend the agenda to, ask them to get the approval to pass a proclamation of a state of local emergency. I need to ask for an amendment to the agenda to allow me to, second. All in favor? Okay, the reason I asked for that is we've got a proclamation of existence of local emergency that I'd like to get the council to vote and pass. It's whereas worldwide health epidemic constitutes a serious hazard to the lives in the city of Winfield, and whereas there is existing and increasing possibility of the occurrence of a pandemic emergency having effect, the city of Winfield is under imminent danger of loss of life due to COVID-19 coronavirus. Whereas Governor Kayev has issued an executive order declaring a state of emergency in the state of Alabama, whereas Alabama Code 31-9-10-1975 provides the power and authority for a political subdivision such as the City of Winfield to declare a state of local emergency, and also to waive the procedures and formality otherwise required of political subdivision by law, including but not limited to performance of public work and taking whatever prudent action is necessary to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Entering into contracts, incurring obligations, employment of temporary workers, utilization of volunteer workers, rental of equipment, accusation and distribution with or without compensation of supplies, materials, and facilities, appropriation of expenditure of public funds. Well, therefore be it resolved the 17th day of March 2020 that COVID-19 coronavirus poses a serious threat to the lives of residents of the city of Winfield, Alabama, and that the state of local emergency has been declared effective 7 p.m. on this date, city of Winfield. I need to ask for a motion for us to pass this proclamation. Second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is old business. I need to ask if anybody's got any old business. Jim, you got any? I can't think of any old business I've got. I need to ask for, on the next item on the agenda, I need to ask for a motion and second to pay the bills. All in favor? Okay, let me say a couple of quick words on this coronavirus issue that's going around. I'm gonna need, which I probably should have done it under old business, and may need to, if we take action or whatever with the council. Me and Todd have been back and forth on different issues concerning this virus, about different places of gathering that we allow to happen, like at the community center and the pastime theater. The only thing about being outside is being able to hear. I don't think we enforce a muffler law anymore. Thank goodness I still got some loud pipes too. But anyway, we got we need to know how the council's gonna have to help probably take action on 2 or 3 things that we've got. Me and Todd's talked about, the main thing is the safety of everybody, but it brings up a lot of different issues. The whole coronavirus is bringing up issues that nobody ever expected or never had planned how to handle it or how to take it. It came up in Todd's discussion about our employees, how many employees we've got that's on the job, whether or not they have to be on the job, if we need to let them stay home for 2 weeks, which I've already asked Regina to close the library, not allow public people into the library. I've asked Gina to, which her and Todd's been back and forth talking about closing the community center. We've already closed the park, where we're not allowing people to go into the park. But we've got a few organizations and different things that meet at the community center. That we need to say that we're not going to allow any gathering in these places without any exemptions. We need to know. I need to know the councils. We all need to have an understanding of how we're going to handle these issues with public gathering in our facilities. We've took and discontinued court this week, and I think there's no court to be till April 16th. Is that right? Or April 16th. The jail. I mean, it's just like Brett can touch a little bit on that if we need him to. I mean, the jail. They feel like they've got issues with incarcerating somebody that could have it, that could spread it to the rest of the inmates. I mean, it's all these have to be looked at. I mean, it's just like here at City Hall, people coming in to pay bills. Mike had questioned me earlier, sent a text, questioned me earlier on garbage, late fees, disconnects, and all this. I mean, right now there's nobody lost employment that I know of. I mean, all the manufacturers are still going. So I'm kind of I think that this needs to be maybe addressed at a later date, or we can address it now, how we're going to handle it if somebody's got late fees. A lot of people want to take advantage of a situation to their good instead of doing the right thing. I need to know how the council feels about garbage late fees, cutoff notices, those kind of issues we need to address before it becomes an issue and then try to address it later. I mean, I feel like that we need to know how we're going to handle people if they have late fees up to a certain point. If we want to say that you got to pay your bills on time this month and things, if we see the drop in employment and people laid off and stuff like that, a lot of people may use the excuse they didn't want to get out because they was told to stay in. And we're going to be faced with it. We're going to be faced with that. And I need to know how the council feels that we need to handle those situations before they start arriving, because it's coming. I mean, people's going to take this virus deal and with the lack of words, they're going to milk it if they can for certain reasons. But there again, we want to look out for the safety of the employees, the safety of the people that's coming in to get out. I mean, I need to know kind of how the council stands for issues like that we're having. Todd, when we were talking about the employees, like the city, like Rob's guys that's out, and then Gina's employees that's out in the park, different things. Do we want to allow, the rule is, I think, down to 10 people now gathered together. It started out higher and it's down to 10. It could get to a point to where they say that they don't want anybody out. I mean, they're trying to control it and knock it in the head before it gets widespread. They're trying to flatten the curve on it, so to speak.
I think Governor Adams' actual order is 25. She's actually at 25, and they talked about that today.
CDC's at 10.
His CDC's guidelines are 10. She's at 25, and they asked about that today at the press conference. They said legally 10 to 25. We're not. The point we're trying to get across is keep the numbers as low as possible. Because I don't think there's a big just said keep it low.
Has anybody else got any comments on that as far as garbage? Kind of leave it like it is for right now and see how this plays out for as job loss and different things. Probably 75% of them come in, I guess. About 75% of the people come in to pay their garbage.
What y'all have set up out here at the front door?
So
What they have set up at the front door today? The doors open and tables set up. What was that?
like a drive-through. They got like a drive-through set up, which I don't think so.
They're not having the senior meal. They've suspended that. They delivered, and then the city activities have been halted. The real question, and I'm not going to mention any organizations, I'm just going to say the real question is private organizations that are using the community center. Now we've closed the community center, but we've got certain private organizations that use it, rent it, hold functions there, and but we've closed the community center. So I mean, how are we going to deal with that?
That was pretty much said none of that. What he's telling us, we've got organizations that use it or rent it on a monthly basis every month.
We got organizations a couple of times a week.
Part of the concern is they use the kitchen. Correct. If they can find another location, let them do that, because this is a city facility. If they can find a private location, maybe. If they can't find a private location, then if they can't find one, maybe readdress it. But at this point, it's a taxpayer property, and it's hard to say you can, you can't, and that's where we're at. Is we're going to get in a mixed up, allowing this group, not allowing this group. You either do or you don't. It's kind of situation, in my opinion. I feel like kind of how you feel like, Todd. I mean, I hate it, but we can help. We can possibly. I've even thought about maybe if I can help them. To keep it from being you can, you can't, because we don't want to do that. And I feel like, I know that they need to have these meetings, and I think that we're going to see if they can't find a different place to have them, to keep from the city having to be involved to make the decision and it come back to us because we didn't allow another organization. That's kind of how I feel. I mean, that's right. And right now we don't. We've shut it. We've closed it, pretty much.
Mayor, there was some concern, in the discussion about they're scheduled to meet tomorrow night. We're doing this today. With school closings and things like that, they tried to delay it. Give you some time to make arrangements and tell them, you need to find another place to meet because we're closed. But if you can't find something by tomorrow night, you can keep it tomorrow night. But after that, you got to find another place. I mean, how do you address that? Give them that chance. Pull the plug tonight. Tell them you can't meet. One organization that we're talking about meets 3 times a week.
Eight to 15.
It would be under the 25-person guideline, but it's excessive. 10-person guideline. They may try to find other ways to meet to get around that. Yeah, but what we're saying is we've closed that building to the public. We're not allowing public meetings at all. That you kind of, we're in a situation where we've never been before. We've got to make decisions about this. They're tough decisions, hard decisions, but I understand what the guidelines are. I do, and the guidelines don't necessarily apply to city business necessarily, but the point I'm trying to make is the League of Municipalities, the Supreme Court, city offices, state offices, county offices, they're closing to in-person contact. They're closing to the public, and they're closing to in-person meetings. That's why we did what we did, because we're closing to the public, and we're not having in-person contact. Trying to enforce social distancing and everything. So that's why they were closed. So because of that, I don't think that the 10, the 25, I don't think that meeting requirement applies. I think what we're saying is we are closing those buildings to in-person contact. We don't want the public down there in those buildings, and we don't, so I think that's 2 different issues, quite frankly. And, my suggestion is that if we're doing that, it applies to everybody. If somebody's caught in a bind, it needs to meet tomorrow night, they can, but then they got to find another location. They're told to find another location. If they can't by tomorrow night, then we'll make that exception for tomorrow night. But beyond tomorrow night, you got to go somewhere. I don't want them in a bind and not have a place, but also, we're closing to parties and seminar youths and things like that, but those are scheduled events that are sometime in the future. We can get in touch with them and let them know, give them plenty of warning. This may be a little, my understanding is they said they're going to try to find another location. Yeah. They may be finding a location for tomorrow night. No. But yeah, I think this just, we're going to have to follow everybody's lead, and I've told the mayor this, whether you agree or disagree with the actions we're taking, that's not the issue. The issue is if the federal government's taking this action, the state government's taking this action, then, we need to take the same action because we need to be on the same sheet of music. Quite frankly, we all need to be, singing off the same sheet of music.
Anybody else got any kind of comments they want to make toward that, or we want to go by Mr. Bowler?
Do what the health professionals suggest. They're the experts. We need to do, and I go back to what Dr. Fauci says. Be criticized for overreacting. That's better than being criticized for underreacting. So let them criticize us for overreacting.
You agree? We'll go ahead and agree to close it. Now the next issue is employees, city employees. As far as the workers reporting to work and doing different duties or whatever, I don't, which I know that most of our firemen, paramedics anyway, and I feel like that they know what their requirements are as far as keeping the distance from one another. Brett's department's probably the same way. As far as the street and the library and the park, what is y'all's thoughts about far as the amount of employees? What we got at City Hall, we've got 3 in the main office, and then we got Ashley in her office, and then we got Mike in his office, and then we got Rob's got 7 or 8 that works for him. I mean, at this time of year, most of them's outside, and the same way at the park, most of them's outside. And what, Todd, you got it. What's your thoughts on as far as the workers in those fields?
Well, I was going to look at I wanted to look at a thing that I got from one of the offices in the state of Alabama, and what they said is they're closing to the public. They're going to operate a skeleton crew. They will be open. They're open. They're not closing. You can still communicate with them via telephone, via email, or anything else. But the public will not be allowed to come in the building, and because of that, they're trying to limit their employees' exposure to one another, and they're working on skeleton crew. So the question is, can we, or should we, do the same thing? Should we try to avoid personal contact as much as we can between employee to employee? I don't know. I think that's just something that y'all need to address, need to think about, decide how we're going to react to it if the need arises. But I guess my concern, and what really brought it up to the mayor, between the mayor and I, is that if during this time we're asking people, the government is asking people to stay home, they're asking them to take a 2-week break from school, and we've got people that are having to take off work because they're having to stay home with their children for that 2 or 3 week period. We're asking the public to do all these things, but then if we're operating wide open and it's not affecting us in any way, and we're not making cutbacks or sacrifices, how does that look? They're having to make sacrifices. They're doing this and they're doing that, but we're blowing and going wide open. The optics of that are not really good. So, we need to do our part too, and that's what brought it up to me and I brought it up to the mayor. That's what brought it up. volunteer basis, so how would that go?
I think what we've already done is suspended volunteer work in the library, have we not?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, all we got.
Nobody but staff is allowed in the building.
How many staff you got every day?
Well, just since it started Monday, we've only had 3 people in the building.
Okay.
3, including myself,
Yeah.
2 others.
And y'all are keeping y'all's distance.
Yes, we're working on inventory right now, and I have one on one side, one on the other. We've got Corel everywhere, wipes everywhere. Every time you touch something, they're supposed to wipe it off. Every time they use the phone, they wipe the phone.
And we got 2 in the office at the community center, or 3. 4.
Gina back in her office, more outdoors, and then 2 ladies in the kitchen, three ladies in the kitchen with homebound meals and meal preparation.
To me, that,
Those are NACOG people. Ladies in the kitchen.
it's pretty much a skeleton crew already. Kind of, I mean, if we're shutting the doors and they meet them outside with, I kind of think that we're okay. I mean, I kind of feel like I don't know how what Rob's working, which I mean we got I don't know if we can get with Rob and see if he can do without any of his guys, but he might make them go straight out on the side of the road or something. You know, where they're not conjugating at the city shop. I mean, we might oversee that where we don't allow public inside the fenced-in area. You know, Rob, just his crew coming in and out and going, and not letting them conjugate in the city shop. We might can handle that way. I know the park, I think, scared to let it go for 2 weeks without maintaining the weeds and everything right now. I think they're afraid they'll get too far behind. I think mainly if we keep them outside and make them not conjugate together inside, I feel like we should be okay on that. Y'all got any thoughts on that? Yeah, things are changing so fast as they are. That's what they're changing. That's what I'm talking about. You're gonna have to decide that. I think he works 6 to 7 a day.
I guess to simplify, what brought all this up is I didn't want it to seem as if what we were saying is do as we say, but not as we do.
Right.
That's not something that you want to send out to the public. You want them seeing. I mean, we are taking steps. I'll admit that we're taking steps. We're closing the park. We're closing the museum. We're closing the library to the public. We are taking steps here, and I think that's important because we got to support the guidelines that we're being given to show the public, hey, this is serious. We're taking it serious. We're taking steps just like everybody else. That's the only point about bringing it up. That's what I want the public to see that we are behind this 100%, and we're taking steps just like everybody else. So.
you know, some people's asked me if the city has closed businesses. I mean, I'm gonna ask this in front of Todd, but I don't think the city has any control over closing businesses unless it's a government, come from the governor or whoever to have no businesses. I mean, I think that's the only way we could do it, become somewhat like if they do a martial law or whatever. We have no control over where the business is open or not.
That's coming down from the state level.
So if anybody asks you, I mean, that you get all kind of rumors and stuff started on Facebook. I mean, we've done got cases here that don't exist. That bothers me more than anything is why people want to try to create and keep a panic going. I mean, I'd like to see everybody encourage everybody to not panic and not run and clean the shelves out at the grocery stores and try to stay home, try to avoid people. I mean, I know people's got to have people. I understand that, but do it by phone, do it by text or something. I mean, I just don't understand why people wants to cause havoc when it don't have to be. I mean, it's an issue. The main thing is for us to keep calm and try to handle things the best way that we can, and encourage if we see somebody that needs help them. I mean, if they call in and say, I don't want to come pay my garbage bill, Mike needs to figure out, say, well, can you do this, or maybe can we do that? Try to help people. You know, there's nothing wrong with us trying to help them if they need food. You know, I mean, I got guys that will help to take elderly food, or anybody else that don't feel comfortable. If they don't feel comfortable because they got a young child, an infant, or whatever, and they need some assistance. I think this town, I think the people in this community would be willing to help if somebody's willing to ask for it, and if they don't feel like that they should be out, and we don't want them to be out. If they don't feel like they should be out, we don't want them out. You know, and I know I'm going to try to do my part for helping if somebody needs some help. But I also know that my guys, a lot of my guys, and me too. I mean, my business has got to go. I mean, I can't pay my bills if my show ain't running. You know, and if it gets down to the point that they want to shut businesses down and close everything, somebody's got to step in and figure out how we're going to foot the bill, because you can't do that. I mean, it's not like you can just shut everything down and go on, because that's going to create a bigger problem than what we've got already. And somewhat, you know, everybody has different beliefs on why things are the way they are, but I think we need to come together as a community and the council and do our part. And if somebody needs help, let's reach out and try to help them. And I'd like to encourage other people to do it. But I think we're covering our bases pretty good. We're going to report to the radio if anything changes or whatever. I mean, we was at the radio station today, and I had 2 texts asking if it was true that there was 2 people had the virus in Winfield. And I said, no, it's not true. I mean, that was while we was sitting in there. And I mean, I don't understand if people will use common sense and do what the CDC and the Alabama Health Department has asked people to do. Why are they worried about it if it is 2 cases? Why would they worry about being 2 cases? Worrying is not going to help, but why would you worry that there's 2 cases? If you're doing what you're supposed to do, staying at home, you have nothing to worry about. And I don't understand why people want to create a problem. I don't understand that. But anyway, I feel like that anybody calls City Hall with an issue, I think Mike will help, and I think that I know Brett will, and Alan will. You know, if you see an urgency for somebody, reach out to any of these guys and me or whatever, and I think, and any of the council members, I think, would stand behind me to help keep this problem at bay as much as we can here and not have havoc. I don't think it's a reason to be alarmed that much. Just do what we're supposed to do. There's not no cure for it. There's no antidote for it. You're gonna have to, if you got it, you're gonna have to stay home to yourself anyway. So why not do it to keep from getting it? So I mean, it's just common sense. But if nobody else has got anything else, that's all I've got. I'm gonna need that. We done paid the bills. I reckon I need to ask for a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? All right. I appreciate y'all coming out. But the next council meeting, unless the sun shines and everything blows away and goes away, we're just gonna handle the necessities of the meeting for us paying the bills and anything urgently that might come in.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/49 County News TV.